Recording in.
You mean that one?
The Belleville Area District Library Board will please come to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are now on item 2, which I have a little announcement tonight. Make item 2 is roll call, which usually our secretary handles, but our secretary, Alma Hughes Grubbs, has an excused absence this evening due to illness, as does our director tonight. So she is being ably represented by our deputy director, Hillary Savage. And I took the liberty to, since I knew Alma wasn't going to be here, to ask Joy, our former board secretary, to help take some notes. So between Hillary and Joy and the recording, I think we'll keep up with what we're doing. Joy, would you like to take the roll?
I am here. Fleming,
Here.
Hughes Scrubs is absent and excused. Jackson Smith,
Here.
Peters,
Here.
Priest, here, and Stoudemire.
Good. I'm glad that most of our group is able to be here tonight. We are now on item 3, which is approval of the agenda. The agenda is distributed in advance, and I think everybody has their packet.
Most certainly approve the agenda.
There's been a motion by
I'll
Stoudemire
second it.
and seconded by Priest to approve the agenda. Before I call the vote, I just want to give last chance for any comment if there's any question on it. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All that are opposed by saying no. The ayes have it with no dissenting votes. And we do have our minutes, which also were distributed a few days ago, and the packets were made ready.
So should this be changed to January?
Yeah,
Okay.
there is a mistake.
Yeah, January
We
14th.
just approved the agenda, which is faulty. The
Yeah.
agenda should say the January 14th, 2025.
Should. So do we need to prove it again or just
Well, we could.
say it's amended?
The motion was made by Stoudemire and supported by Priest. Would you like to make a friendly amendment? to
Yes,
the-
I'd like to amend the agenda to say January 14th, 2025
And,
minutes.
and,
And I'll second.
okay, so now we will retake that because we do want to be official and appropriate. The agenda as amended, that's what is in front of us now. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. The corrected agenda is approved. Now, our minutes from January 14th, which was a special day for us.
On the selection of organization.
Yeah. We can take a minute to look at the minutes if you haven't looked at them in hard copy. And then I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from January 14th.
There's a motion on the floor and a second by Jackson Smith. Oh, well, What did you beat me to it? Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay, we will have Maria. Because I could see she was ready to do it too. It is important that our minutes, maybe I rushed too much for the other one, so we don't have to go back. Just take a second and make sure we have, especially you, Tanya, on the finance committee, and make sure we have that gas 20 to 54 that got approved, but I think our language is okay on that.
No, it's good too.
All righty, if there's no reservations, we have a motion on the board that's been properly approved. I've properly seconded. All those in favor of approval of the January 14th, 2025 minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. The minutes looking nice and smooth. We had a few bumps in the road in that meeting. I call myself a bump in the road because I was kind of off. It felt foggy that day, but it was a very nice day. It was Maria and her family brought a lot of joy to our meeting. Glad to have you here. Now we are at item 5, which is public comments, and we do have a couple of members of the public. Are there any comments wish to be offered?
Not from me.
All righty. Then we will go on. We do have one piece of business that requires us to look. It is reflected in the director's report, which Mary Jo, as usual, has given us in writing. And I will call your attention to where she discusses this, and I'll ask Hillary to add anything if she needs to. In her discussion of the penal fines, she indicates that that the libraries are have been encouraged by the Library of Michigan to retain counsel. And our next item on the agenda has to do with that counsel. Hillary, would you like to introduce this further at all?
Sure. So Mary Jo has spoken with this attorney. This is the letter of engagement. She said it's a fairly boilerplate letter of engagement. But she did express to the attorney that libraries have a very cooperative nature. And so she emphasized that with them. And the attorney is actually experienced working with both libraries and municipalities, including the Romeo Library, the Oak Park Library, and the Commerce Township Library.
I would add that before this decision, Mary Jo and she discussed it with me as well, and that was a big interest of mine, that we look at lawyers that are familiar with libraries in particular. And municipalities operate a little differently than a lot of law. So this one was the one that we agreed seemed to have that expertise, and Mary Jo followed up and was quite comfortable with the folks. So there is a letter of engagement that's in our packet, and it will need to be signed by our director. So it will be executed by our director, but she wants to be sure that nothing is done here that the board doesn't have a chance to look over. You've had this in your packet. I think it's standard language, standard legalese. Are there any comments on this before we look at any kind of action?
So
Go ahead.
are any other, so this attorney's just representing us, libraries aren't joining together.
That was my question too.
Yeah.
We were, and I did go to that meeting, and as Mary Jo said here, the library, of Michigan is kind of bowing out of this matter. They're not gonna be in, but they, encouraged libraries to consult their attorneys. And that was the case in the big meeting before that, before we talked about this last time. They encouraged each library to have their own counsel. I know that the meeting that we went to before last month's meeting, a library or two, well, one of the libraries that zoomed in had an attorney with them. A few libraries did, and we had looked and determined. We also looked at our local attorney, but it appears that this one kind of needs this level of library experience, the level that the Atkinson, Mead,
So no
Allen, and
two
Renton
libraries.
Pardon?
So no two libraries are joining together to retain counsel. Each library is retaining its own.
Right, and I don't exactly know, but it sounds like they discouraged libraries from all using the same counsel because each library's situation is different. And some, of course, some libraries, the ones that we have been talking to are the libraries that have been determined to owe money. And there has been a request for another audit, and some of the libraries had a little concern, and so we,
And we have to foot the bill. I mean, there's no
for
pool
the,
of money that has been set aside for us to hire an attorney.
we have the resources to do this. We're not anticipating this to be a huge lift for these lawyers, but this is part of our full budget. Do you have anything additional on that? It's part of our operating, and we have not been spending the kind of money that we spent with lawyers in the past. When we were formulating and getting the library built and the agreements with the community, we've had a lot of legal costs with that,
just
but
keep
we
going
have
back
not
to-
had it.
I just kind of keep going back to the fact that, it wasn't anything that this library did wrong, but yet we have to hire a lawyer to.
Well,
Well,
there should be a pool of money somewhere, you're saying.
I'm just
The
asking,
county might have offered.
I'm just asking.
I
agree.
I held when I did go to that meeting and I wanted to be clear that it was me speaking for myself, that I do think that the county should be involved. The problem was not produced by any of the libraries. We are no different than any other in that case.
Right.
But maybe they'll come out in the case where we might get reimbursed or something like that.
Or some of
That could happen.
load
File a
of,
claim to,
pardon?
I so we need to file our own claim to get reimbursed.
Well, I guess I'm not sure I understand, because we're not we're the ones owing.
Right.
We didn't do anything
The libraries owe.
Exactly.
Our last meeting, we had voted that to be part of any settlement the Library of Michigan was gonna do, and it looks
To
like.
engage what we voted on. We didn't vote to be a part of us. We voted to engage in the dialogue to create some
Yeah,
collective form.
and there is no collective form, it sounds like.
No, and the Library of Michigan is
Right.
now saying they're not going to be involved, so it is on the libraries to exercise their
I feel like the
interest.
libraries as individuals are not gonna be as powerful
yeah.
as they would be if they were joining together.
I don't know, Mary Jo does know this issue more than any of the rest of us because she has attended more of the meetings. There are different interests among libraries between those who owe and those who
Of course.
don't owe, and also between those who have a very big, big bill. Libraries that are able to, that are in good enough shape to be able to deal with this, have a little different of a look on this than some other libraries do. We're not even, this is a discussion, the discussion so far has been among those libraries that owe. And I don't, the negotiation may well end that there feels that it needs to be a, what do you call a legal case that has many
Class action.
I don't think class action really applies to this. I'm not legalese, but it may be decided in the discussions, but at this point, what we were instructed is written right here that the libraries were encouraged to find counsel.
So there's a fact-finding part to it
Yeah.
now. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably figuring out what has to be done.
Right, and, Hillary's comment, the collegial, relationship between the libraries, at least so far, what we heard amongst those that owe was a collegial, we do not want to have this become something where we're fighting libraries, because
No.
libraries did not create this problem.
No.
That's his Dan's point, because neither way did anybody do anything wrong.
Right.
None
I
of the
guess-
libraries did, the ones that owe are the ones that are
Yeah.
owed.
And I mean, it's gonna cost us money just to
Yeah.
hire a lawyer for something we
Yeah.
didn't do wrong.
But if I understand that giving the money to Wayne County allows them to pay the libraries that owe. My issue is,
Well,
I don't want this to, I want to know this isn't going to happen again, and that there's some kind of
And guardrails.
Mechanism.
yeah, some kind of legalese or whatever that doesn't put us in the same place again in 5 years.
right, the encouragement to bring in attorneys, and it could be decided as the negotiation goes on that that people want to group together, but the encouragement to bring on attorneys is just so that this doesn't just go that the county says pay this and all the libraries jump out and pay it. It needs to be reviewed and looked at.
Even the
and
libraries that received money, that's money they were living without for those years that they could have been using. It's in everybody's interest that the problem is solved.
Yeah.
Not just that we
Right,
pay back the money now that we're,
there's a root problem that has
Yeah,
to be
right.
fixed.
yeah.
And that is, I think that was the issue, that was part of the issue behind the request for an independent audit
Yeah,
that that we're asking the county to pay for. So that, because there were libraries that really felt those figures that, that big packet we
Yeah.
had last
Right.
week, that the figures weren't accurate.
Right.
And so that's something that we need to resolve. And a lawyer that is experienced in these areas may be able to steer us. That's our intent. So that is the thought behind Mary Jo's action and her recommendation here. That we don't want to, and particularly we are, fortunately, I know there are libraries, there's one library. Allen Park or something that has no staff right now. I mean, this is the least of the kind of things that they can worry about. We at least are in the position to be able to. We're running well and we have the wherewithal to look at this, and perhaps we can be able to help along the way, especially if we have counsel that is experienced and can give some good ideas. That's at least the thinking that Mary Jo and I have discussed.
This is just the first of,
This
the first
is-
step.
Yeah,
We've got a
this
ways
is
to
to
go.
enter, this is counsel as we enter into a negotiation with other libraries who are similarly situated, and then there'll have to be the discussions with the other libraries as well. And what can be done, my question with our council is what can be done regarding the county, which is it is where the problem seems to have come up.
Well, I trust Mary Jo in this, make a motion that we approve. Moving forward to the process of hiring attorney. But keep us surprised.
I think we will, the board wants to really keep an eye on this, and to Dan's question, we don't want to just accrue a big lawyer bill and.
I'm sure that there's gonna be a way that we can keep track of
Well, he
the
says that,
money that we're spending.
yeah, he says at the conclusion of each calendar month, we will provide you with detailed statements. So you will have an accurate record of fees. So we could just ask to see that
Okay.
in every month and know what
Yeah,
we're
I'm sure it'd be
approving.
nice to, once this is all done, we get reimbursed for money that we shouldn't have to be spending quite honestly.
And not just the cost, but maybe he can give us a summary of what's happening so that she
Yeah.
can present it to us.
Yeah. I just wonder how that can go on so long. I mean, you know, our library went through an audit just recently. How
We're
come,
audited
how come
every year.
that didn't, how come that wasn't caught in an audit? Over years, it wasn't caught. I'm sure that question was asked, but it just seemed like it just went on way too long.
My understanding is the formula that the county uses to disperse the money.
Yeah.
Isn't something that we had control, it
No,
wouldn't be,
no.
it wouldn't be
were
something
just
that our
receiving or paying.
auditors would have access to.
Right,
And there was a person who left, who had been in charge of it.
right.
Who didn't tell the new person how to do it.
But
The
isn't
new
that
person
what
did it
the
wrong.
audit,
You would
isn't
think-
that what an
you
audit's
would
all
think
about?
so.
Would think so.
Yeah, I would think that's what an audit's all about.
Well, but I don't know that Wayne County had an audit to that this, I sense and agree with the reluctance on the part of the board. I felt it really strongly that this is a problem we did not create, nor did our sister or brother libraries. And perhaps some kind of way early into the program, there can be a way to look at it.
However, I don't disagree that we need an attorney
No.
to keep us apprised, to understand the municipal laws involved and state laws involved and to guide us.
And that, in looking at Mary Jo, that's what we felt like, that, looking for a lawyers that had this
And then
experience.
maybe at the end, we can ask for reimbursement of, you know, who knows what's gonna happen, but we could.
But I don't
Something like
think
that.
we should expect it.
No. I don't think so either, but I think it might be part of the
You know, if they
conversation.
say we owe X amount of money and we can say, okay, well, we spent
Yeah,
it
it can't. be-
whatever, and we're gonna take that out of the money we owe you.
Right, it can't be something that's ignored, because it is costing us
Right.
money.
Right.
We have to be fiscally responsible.
Yeah, but it may require a lawsuit, I mean, you know, for us to
Right.
get our money back somehow.
Right.
Mm,
And they have to know we're taking it seriously. You know, this is very serious to us. We just don't say, yeah, I'm just gonna do this, pay this.
Right.
It's important.
Clearly, this board is taking this very
Yes.
seriously, and looking around the table, I can see where everybody recognizes that this is something that puts us in a very strange position. The best thing in this is that the libraries are not, at this point, fighting each other.
And it's very unusual.
And there is nothing that says that this negotiation wouldn't, I mean, hopefully it just goes through a negotiation, but if, as Tanya just said, if it goes to the point of having to go into legal action, then there may be a different idea about how we're representing. So Joy has a motion on the floor.
I'll second that motion.
It has been moved by Chehevitz, supported by Priest, that the Belleville Area District Library enter into this agreement for council. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. There are no nays. However, the concerns of our board are noted. And certainly I think it will be easy enough to convey to Mary Jo because she understands, she feels this way as well. We will continue to, as a board, look at as it moves on and see where we end up with it. Thank you. That's among the biggest items of our, well, the only additional item from our committee reports. But before we get to committee reports, I wanted to call your attention to this committee assignment sheet. The committees were assigned as chair by me, looking at the committee structure that we've had. I did not get a chance to really confer with all of you in terms of these assignments. But and we don't have to vote on them, but I just want you to know that if there's any concerns about these, that I'm open to your bringing any concerns and we could make a shift. I did speak to Alma. The bylaws committee was formerly chaired by John Juriga, and I've asked Linda to do this. Mary Jo has indicated that our bylaws are old enough now that they probably need to be reviewed. So it might be a little lift here, but Linda, I think, would be able to work with this. There is a change. We used to have what we called a marketing committee, and there was some discussion about the name of the committee. We reached one to be the outreach committee. And my sense, I haven't had the chance to work a long time with Maria, but my sense with Maria is her feel for a community and some of the things that you indicated while you were running, that to reach out. And what our outreach committee, we were the marketing, which was called a marketing committee. It was more active again when we were just opening the library, but there can be many ways, and I'd encourage your agile thinking about ways that we can do more outreach. We have outreach staff now in the library, and we just want to make sure people are using our library and they are enjoying it, but we can always improve and we can always reach more. And so that is one change, the change from that. And of course, Maria as a new member is a new appointment for that. Otherwise, our committees are very similar to how they have been. I am ex officio on all the committees, and I'm just really appreciative of how well they operate. Our finance committee has been stellar, as has the personnel, and our policy committee. Dan had quite a bit he had to do in his first go round here.
Got your money's worth out of me the
Yeah.
very first year. didn't you?
So, last time, we just went along with the old committee structure, but I will call on committees based on this new list. And, the building committee, actually, again, in the director's report, there's one item that we're taking care of tonight or discussing tonight that came through building. And so, Joy, you might want to just reflect what Mary Jo has said to us, because we will be looking at that item as well.
So, we have, had some asks about getting, automatic doors on our bathrooms. And we looked at, Mary Jo got a bid, it looks like it's about $6,300 for each of 6 bathroom doors. I highly recommend that we go ahead and do this. It's, it's a huge issue for folks in wheelchairs, people with strollers trying to get in the bathroom, having doors that will automatically open, or it's a big deal.
Even with walkers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rockers, yeah.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
Pretty much
and
everywhere.
people as they age or we age, there's more and more difficulty with heavy doors.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would direct you to our director's report, which indicates, and I thought this was very good when we talked about it, that the O'Neill Construction Company, that's the construction company we consistently use to build the building, was able to receive a quote that came in lower than what they had estimated. So what we will be voting on is better than I think it was in the 40,000.
It's about $10,000 lower.
Yeah,
It was 49,200 originally.
that's what they had originally thought we might end up, so that is good news.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's enough to pay for a lawyer,
Probably not.
but it's some good news.
That's right.
So,
Why wasn't this is a new library, why wasn't this thought of?
well, first of all, we are a new library, but we have to recognize we are no longer, we're outside of our new library time. We had a plan, we're into the maintenance of the
Yeah,
building,
yeah.
the 5-year maintenance.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of things that you don't know until you're there.
got it.
We had state-of-the-art recommendations. There were some things that we had to cut. Joy and see, it was Mary Jane and John that were the other ones that sat through every single one of those meetings. There were some things that were kind of painful for us to have to take back, but when you're in the building is when you can
Yeah,
find out.
It even had a basement. Yeah.
And we had
I got cut out really early, but.
a number of things that we thought we might be able to have. I don't know, also.
It would have
the-
been great if we thought about it, that it probably would have been cheaper than it is now, but we didn't. And
I don't know that the technology, some of the technology on this, I looked at, well, I would call you to look at the piece of paper. There's a little piece in here from O'Neill. Yeah. And it's got pictures of what they're. Now, they didn't have self-opening doors in older libraries. Now we have the assisted opening in our front door.
our Superior branch of Ipsy doesn't have self-opening doors. We
I,
have lights that go off and on, automatically, but none of this other stuff.
Yeah, and that
That
one
one's
was
just
a little
2
bit
years
newer
old.
even than this one.
Mhm.
So I just, to answer your question, there are some things that you find out once you're in the building. And
The doors
that's
are heavy.
one.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And if we were unable, if we had not been able to keep our finances as healthy as we've been able to keep them, we wouldn't be able to consider doing this. We just have to let people struggle or try and add to the staff roll, go open the door for people.
So was that cafe that was shot down, was that supposed to be in the basement? That never
No,
was?
actually, the notion about the cafe was shot down because that was in the first proposal. There was a
The community,
proposal that
right.
went down in 2014.
Yeah.
And
The
that
library
cafe,
on the lake.
and then we did a survey of the people. Joy headed it up about what they saw and what they wanted in a library, and they said a cafe was, what did they say? We were looking for a Taj Mahal. That we didn't need all these things. So cafe got shut down by not just by the board, but by a public survey.
Libraries are, I know several libraries who had cafes that were manned by people who then it ends up going to machines. Because it's hard to keep enough business going in a
That's-
library.
That's what I've understood, I was sorry about it too, because it sounded real good when we were talking about the library that was gonna be on the lake shore.
Yeah.
But most of the libraries, I even think, is Canton still using, some of the libraries that have cafes aren't using them.
Whitaker
Because,
Road's not using.
Nope, it's going to machines. It's being redone.
Right.
A lovely cafe right here.
Right,
I love where our library is now. I'm glad we didn't go on the lake because it's become the center
have
of.
it downtown
events
and
and
it,
everything.
and
It's an
it
anchor.
support,
City.
and it supports, it's been wonderful.
It
That's
really
the
has.
kind of synergy that you wanna see, is that a local business, a local entrepreneur
Yeah.
recognize that serving this, so we can go across the parking lot. And, the libraries that have them, sometimes they're noisy,
Yeah.
the machines that they use, so.
Look at how
Easier for the
that,
kids to get to also.
sorry, how that square, in front of the library, 4th Street Square, how that has just blossomed into a community
Right there,
outreach thing.
right
I just love
outside
it.
our little window.
We couldn't have foreseen it.
Well, we did do some visionary things, because I remember sitting in this room with our community partners from Sumter and Van Buren and the DD, what do they call it?
DDA.
Downtown Development Authority, DDA, because the DDA decided to, because we were building this library, that making this 4th Street Square. And now every summer on a Monday evening, you can see what a lovely addition that is, so.
Mhm.
Some things have really added, but anyway, in answer to your question, we'll probably end up with other things that come along, and since we're fortunate enough to be able to do it, we're answering to the public. That it did come up from public request, did it not?
It did, yes.
That people were coming and saying they were having a hard time getting in the bathroom.
We also have staff. Staff as well.
Staff as well. Well, there
And
you
the
go.
staff door is included
Oh,
in this.
good.
Okay. No, I'm asking you.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you know, Hillary, if the
Well,
staff
no,
door?
because it's a free swinging,
Okay.
it's not the
It's
same
just,
kind of self-closing.
Okay.
It's not that big, yeah. Yeah. So this is an item that our director would like us to, she wants to be sure the board is behind us and we're not going off and doing stuff that you're not aware of, so.
Well,
Need a motion?
this is just bathroom doors, right?
Yeah.
Just bathroom doors.
For the big bathrooms, we're not talking about the family bathrooms, are we?
I mean, bathrooms up here, bathrooms out
Yeah.
there.
The 2 bath, the big bathroom, I believe. Well, and
How many bathrooms are there total?
There are 6,
I
and I
think,
see
Okay.
here 6 each, so
Okay.
it's not like they're,
So it must be
they're
that
doing the ones.
yeah,
well, and when you said about pushing the stroller in and stuff like that, maybe the family bathrooms needed as
Sure.
much as
well,
anybody.
you can have somebody in a wheelchair with a baby on their lap, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so
ready for a motion?
I am.
Can I don't know if this would be in one motion. Mary Jo also requested that the board recommend where the funding should come from this. If you remember back in June, when the most recent budget was approved, you set aside a certain amount of our general fund for building use. Also, in addition to that, there is money that's restricted for building use. And so she would like to know which fund we should pay for this out of. Or the regular general fund. So
I
we have
like-
three options.
Capital funds.
The capital fund is the restricted one, I believe, and then there's the funding that's, well, was just set aside, general funds.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the capital funds
Um,
as opposed to our general fund, which we probably use more so for repairs and maintenance, but I'm thinking this is more of a capital purchase than just regular repairs and maintenance. So,
Well, I was interested in the thoughts of our treasurer. We are fortunate to have our treasurer. So with that recommendation, unless somebody has another thought,
I make a motion that we accept the construction proposal for $37,787 for 6 power assist doors. That's the first motion.
you can make it all. If
Can it?
Yeah.
Okay, and I move that we take it out of the money out of the capital fund.
I second.
It has been moved by Priest and supported by Stoudemire that we accept the proposal and utilize the capital fund to pay for it. Any more discussion before we vote? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying no. Well, the ayes have it. We have no dissenting vote. And before I go further, I said I was gonna start with some, I guess I started by talking about Alma's illness, but we did talk about last month's meeting. And even with our brand new building and all the wonderful technology we have in it, we had a technological problem and our director had to be climbing around under the table to get us going.
Right.
Well, in this meeting, we are introducing support staff who will be here for every meeting.
Oh, that's great.
Nikki Pickle.
Very nice.
And
Hi,
I,
everyone.
excuse me, Nikki, for not starting out with that. That was one of the things I was interested in saying right up front. Hillary probably won't be here for every meeting unless she decides that she would really, and we would welcome you, my dear. But Nikki will be here, and if there's climbing under the table that has to happen. Oh, I don't know, Rosemary's the one who comes to all these meetings, and for it to be the meeting that we had the swearing in and we had the judge here and we're sitting around here. Oh, well, even with your best state of the art, whatever,
We had a guest speaker
Things
even at
happen.
that meeting. We had somebody from the city come in and talk to us about,
well, actually, the guest speaker was here to support, but she filled the time
she
very
was,
well.
she was, you know,
She
filling time.
She
Not she was gonna
filled the time,
tell
Julie.
jokes and dance up something.
Julie Kessel did a great job and came to support her colleague, Maria, so.
Well, that's why I'm here. I am here for support and not just technological, but anything I can help you guys with. so.
And I don't know if all of you have had the chance to meet, Nikki. I come in here all the time. Nikki's desk is right outside of, Mary Jo's. And Mary Jo might say this in the directory report, but as most of you know, we've talked about the long-term staff that we lost, and Carol Johnson left and did a lot of administrative support kind of things here, and Nikki is taking up that part.
Yeah, so I'm now the administrative assistant, so I'm assisting Hillary and Mary Jo, and Mary Jo is liking it very much. She fought it a little bit, but she is slowly coming to realize that this is a really great thing.
When
So-
Debbie was director, she always had Mary Jo at the meetings, and Mary Jo is such a can-do person. She's been doing everything herself all this time, so.
And I am the same. So anything I can do to help, anything to make the meetings better and to support you guys, that's why I'm here, so.
Nikki's been a tremendous support to all kinds of projects we've had in the library, and especially liaison with the museum. She did a whole lot to help that get
Which
going.
there is a new display downstairs. We did borrow some items from their collection in the case about cookbooks.
Oh.
And we're gonna do a couple more this year since the cases come up, and then we've got some partnerships with some the American Automotive Museum as well. So yeah.
So
we're
Nikki's-
gonna be a good year,
Nikki's
guys.
still doing her other job too.
Yeah.
Just fold in a little more.
Yeah, just a little more.
Are you running a tech tutoring? No, that's not you.
No, I don't have that one. But I can tell you who to talk to if you need
You
it.
got an appointment. I
All
didn't
right,
know who it
good.
was.
So, and we will be getting, what Nikki just referred to will be covered a little later in the art committee report. Actually, since Nikki brought it up, would you like to give your report now? We can move you up, so you don't have to be the end.
First, let me, Carol
Commission-
left?
Kara retired.
Oh, I didn't know. So you will be my contact for the newsletter.
Yep.
For posting. Okay, I just made myself a note, like.
Let me make a note.
I did not know this.
Yeah, there's new things,
Actually,
everybody.
no, Amy O'Brien will be.
Oh, yeah,
okay, never mind.
Carol's job was broken in several ways, because Carol was here so long and did so much, and you
Right.
can't even imagine what Carol was doing, so.
Oh, no,
Amy,
that-
miss her.
I just needed to, I didn't know.
Amy
that.
O'Brien does
didn't tell
part
me.
of what Carol was doing, and Nikki does part of what Carol was
When was
doing.
Carol's last time? Oh, I'm gonna be
The
the
17th
Mhm.
of January.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
all good things. She.
And Carol's moved now. I think she's
Yeah.
moved out of state
All good
Can you
things.
take one or?
with her kids.
Thank you.
Just for the
For
first
some
time.
anyways. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
So I get in the picture. Do I just stand here? What's
Or you
best?
can stand or you can sit
Okay.
next to Maria if you wish, whichever is more comfortable.
No, you don't put me first on the floor, a lot of people do that. Okay, so, I think everyone knows that I'm the chair of the art committee that appointed by the board. Okay, I'm also.
And that's the one committee that is not chaired by a full board member, but the board appointed, and are we ever lucky?
Oh, thank you. And I'm also the curator of the art in the library, the gallery and the art that goes in the library. So I wanted to bring this up, that the art committee consists of a member of the Friends, our director, 2 artists, a member of BADL, which is the Art Council, and 2 board members. So John has left the board and Maria just decided to join the art committee, which is great, but I have a question. Noelle was the other artist. I'm one of the artists and Noelle was the other artist on the committee. Does she still work here?
She does not work here, and I don't know, and now there's no reason she couldn't still be the artist if she was willing.
Well, I don't get too much communication from her, but I've asked Debbie Jariga
Oh,
if she'd be willing to be on the committee, and we only meet as needed, and usually it's via email.
Yeah.
And she said she's willing, so if it's okay with the board, I'd like to then make Debbie the
Okay.
second artist, if that's okay. Because she agreed, because we don't meet.
She agreed.
Okay, that's great. Our current artist is Danielle Whitehead, and I hope you all have had a chance to look at her art. And Nikki and I always work together as far as the display case, that if I don't have it, like our next exhibit will be the students, the high school students, so I'll need the display case.
And
but I
the
think-
artist that's, sorry for butting in, but the artist that, what did you just say her name was? I can't remember.
Danielle Whitehead.
Danielle
We met her.
Whitehead.
Yes.
Was at the Friends
Yes,
of
yes.
the Belleville Area District Library meeting, and so several of us were able to meet her.
Yes.
Very impressive young woman and
Impressive
beautiful art.
Very impressive art, so it's, yes, very great. So, okay, so that's who's currently on exhibit, and I have artists through 2027. So I'm pretty
Oh,
happy about
it's
that.
right here in front of my face.
And just so that you all know, I do invite local artists that a lot of the artists in the area are familiar with. And so I don't really go to the committee. I invite the artists like Liz Dobbs. She's a pencil artist. And she's pretty well known in our community here. So I invite certain, and she's also been in the art show that Baca has at the yacht club every year. So I don't go through the committee for all the artists, but when I get something through email like Danielle, that was all through email. She contacted me, I said, send me some examples. And then our committee met and I gave copies of the art and we all said, oh my gosh, of course, we want her to display, okay? So, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and then this is going to be an artist in 2026, I think, yes. He contacted me, I didn't make copies for everybody because and this is another person that contacted me via email. He came in the library, saw the exhibit and said, how can I display my photography? And someone gave him my email. And so he contacted me. I said, send me your work. I send the work via email to the committee and everyone, has a say. And we all felt that it was, really good art. It would be great for the library and great for the community. So.
And it is a good thing. When the art committee was forming and we were wondering how we would recruit artists to display, and it's seeming that the artists are coming forward.
Well, it's twofold because when we first started at the art exhibit through the Art Council, I approached the artists and I said, we have a gallery in our library. Would you be interested in displaying and your artwork can be for sale? And I would meet with them, they'd come and see the space and everybody has said yes. So that's and I even sent an email to you, Miss Joy.
Oh, did you?
Yes, wondering if sometime you would like to, I don't know if you're still doing your glass work.
I'm retiring. It's Saturday, a week from.
But I mean,
Saturday,
are
and
you-
then I might do stuff again.
Yeah.
Well, I'm inviting you because the display case could be filled with your work. I wouldn't put it outside on the shelves right now. If you're interested in the future, and I could put you in 2028, so you have plenty of time.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
No, actually, you could display it other times because the case isn't always full unless Nikki needs it. So. But I wanted to share with you also what artwork we have on loan, and we still have, I don't know, we're gonna have to talk about that. That art that's Jackson Pollock in the atrium, that was supposed to be a 5-year loan.
Did the artist, we do have the name of the artist.
No, we do not have the name. There's no name
We've
on it.
always
No.
just referred to it in the style
Yes,
of.
in the style of it.
So
That was-
don't think it's not a real Jackson.
No, it's not a real, no, but that was based on oh gosh.
Tina.
Doug Peters, he was the one that talked to Sheena about that,
Mhm.
and she agreed to loan it to us for 5 years, but I can't imagine that we're gonna be taking it down. If I see her at our meeting tomorrow, I will talk to her briefly to see if it just continue to be on loan, because I don't know if all you know, though, the library doesn't buy our work, and we will take something on loan We don't take donations, but if we do take a donation, it is at our discretion to do whatever we want with it. So,
And there is a process, or
Yes.
that is something that we did set up. It's not
Yes.
just that we take anything
No,
that
we
comes
don't.
in the door.
no. In fact, I have had a couple people contact me and they've sent me examples of, they're cleaning out their attic and they want to have someplace to, donate their art. And it's just not suitable for the library. It doesn't, like, there was one, it was a really lovely painting, but it was a polar bear on ice, and it has no relation to us, at all. So, I mean, she took the woman, I can't remember her name, but she was, she understood. I said, we can't accept it because first of all, we have no storage. And second of all, it doesn't suit the building. It doesn't suit our environment. So, I declined and she was okay with it, so that's fine. And then we have, the water tower out here. John Juriga has given that to us on loan forever. But that one I think is fine. Then in the quiet room, we have two paintings from, Doug Peters' personal collection. And then in the periodical room, we have two layered paper collages from Kim Ench. Oh, and then also, another one on loan is from Ariel Williams. She wanted to donate another painting this year. But what she did is she donated to Elaine, and then Elaine it's on loan to the library. It's in the kids area. But this is an artist that's autistic and she does lovely work, but she's already given the library like 8 pieces in the staff room. And it, and she's just one of those lovely, loving people that says she just wants to do her art and give it to somebody, and she's really lovely. But I mean, it's the same thing. We don't have storage and we don't have space for, that. So anyway, so those are our art loan. And then we do have, a couple of donations. There are sculptures in the kids area from Howard Polchowski. I think there's 4 or 5 of those. And then of course the stained glass.
And those came in a process because
Yes.
we didn't just take all the
Oh, no.
things. The staff looked at what
Yes,
they
thank you.
thought.
Yes,
would be
that was the
useful.
other thing. We
And
all, like the artwork that I was just talking about from Ariel. Mary Jo asked staff if they thought it was appropriate for the children's area. And the staff said yes.
Okay.
So then I hung it.
So we do
Otherwise,
have
I would have had to go back to Elaine.
kind of internal process. And to elaborate on what Michelle's already said, she already mentioned John Doug Peters, who was very helpful to us when we set up the art committee and set up how we would respond if people had things they wanted to donate, all kinds of things.
Right.
But also he has donated some and then taken back.
Yes.
He had a few pieces that were in
In
the
the
periodical.
Yes, he did. And those were from, again, his personal
From
collection.
his personal
But it
collection.
wasn't, these paintings are by Doug, the ones in the white room. These are by him.
Uh-huh.
But that was through a process. I went to his house and he had like 5 or 6. I took pictures of all of them, sent the pictures to the committee and said, which 2 do you feel will work best in the quiet room? And by committee, we chose the 2 that are up there.
He has been very helpful.
Yes, and he also helped with the exhibitors agreement, things like that, so that we went through to make sure that,
Very useful to have an artist and a lawyer
I
in
know,
the same.
But I
So we didn't have to pay for that legally. I just want you to know.
It's a little
Leanne.
pointed, wasn't
Got it.
Okay.
What about the sculptures outside of the whimsical sculptures out?
Those are from the DDA.
DDA.
Yeah, well, this one's better than the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I know.
That was so strange. But the one before that was just beautiful. Remember that was
Flowers, yeah.
colorful
Yeah.
and flowers.
Yeah.
And the DDA places sculpture all across the community in
Right.
Van Buren and Belleville and do they,
It rotates every year,
do
I
they
think.
go to Sumter as well or no?
No.
Just Van Buren
Yeah.
and Belleville, but they decided, the first piece that they put behind that bench was just perfect.
right?
And last year's was a little.
No, it wasn't.
We don't have the.
We don't have much say on what.
Yeah.
No, we really don't. I mean, I should ask Steve Jones about that because I do think that Rhonda Dutton, our current president of the Art Council, I think she's also on that committee. And I probably should just ask, like, is there any way I can have input too?
Right, right. I mean, I like the ones we have now.
Yeah, this one's a good one.
I think those
Yeah.
are.
This one was a good one. Remember, the first year they had one, it was across the street, kind of in the, off the side of that building, the cleaners building. You don't
Oh.
remember that?
It was the butterfly group.
Yeah, it was a butterfly
It
girl.
was a
I
lady
thought the
with
butterfly
butterflies.
girl was-
on it.
Rosemary remembers it.
It was,
Wasn't
and
that?
it was also out here too.
It was
Yeah.
across,
Okay.
it was across the street, and the decision to put it behind that bench really it enhanced, especially that first year with it had
Right.
pretty colors, and it looked like that could have been wonderful forever, but I think one of the things that Doug Peters advised us was that you don't want to bring in art forever, other than things that are historical like this out here, but
Right.
because art changes and
Mhm.
that's the beauty of art,
yeah.
that you're bringing in something new, and that's what the DDA tries to do.
Right.
But maybe if we can have somebody.
If Steve's at the meeting tomorrow, I'll mention, or I'll ask him about it and see what, maybe I can be invited. You know,
Yeah.
so that we could have something a little more appropriate to the building and our patrons.
That's the only sculpture, I mean, I don't remember walking around seeing anything else other than those right there.
Yeah, I
around
don't
our
remember
perimeter.
seeing these
Well,
children's
the
one.
bank has one. The
Oh.
bank should have
yeah.
one.
Okay,
There's,
Big
yeah,
blue-
I
that
mean, but I
big-
mean, I'm just talking about the structure of the library.
Oh, yeah.
it
only
is.
one.
Yeah, I know the community has.
Yeah, no, only one.
And then the
The fish.
Belleville Bass, which we had
Yeah.
wanted to put in the children's
Right.
library,
Right.
but
Was
that
it-
was another one that
Right.
the choice didn't seem to be ours.
But I think we got one of the best ones, so. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's the most artful.
Yeah.
And
No, I
kids
think
do,
that was the best.
they love the ballards and they
Yeah.
also seem to love
So-
that, so it has
The
worked.
little garden is cute too. You seen the one in the garden on Liberty? Garden.
Yeah, the
That's a pretty
Belleville
one.
Bass.
Yeah.
But in our children's garden, that's a place for art that we have not yet
Yeah.
put something, so something might come along
Right.
eventually, or.
Well, I think, yeah,
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's
look
just
out.
kind of open for discussion, you know what I mean? I don't know if it needs it, or how much is it used, you know, or, I don't know. I think that's, you can put something in there that's gonna stay there for a long period of time, we have to think about that.
I think it would be neat to have a sculpture in the children's garden,
Yeah, I do too.
We
Be on
have
the
been,
lookout for something.
something whimsical.
we
Yeah.
have been thinking about it, and that's another thing we can think.
Right.
We're glad
And
to
that
have,
probably, I don't know if that would be a purchase or a thing when it comes to
Well,
sculpture. I
yeah,
don't
that's
know.
one of those.
Yeah.
I'm like. What I mean, it's like. I
well, we're
hesitate.
appreciative, Michelle. Michelle is connected in the art community around here so well that she's an excellent person to hear about things. So you might keep that children's
Mhm.
garden in mind if something.
Well, I
Some
will have to,
opportunity.
I'll have to be discreet because it could be permanent. And then if the library wants something permanent, then it has to be a donation, right? And then, but then the artist would have to understand it's not reciprocatory.
Hmm.
Right? Am I, okay. I wanna
Yeah,
make
you
sure.
are. And the Belleville Bass, when it was put out there, we were thinking it would go, but
Right.
it's like 700 pounds.
Oh, well, now it's gotta stay there.
It's
Yeah.
not something that
Yeah.
can be moved. So there's a lot of considerations for what happens.
Well, I know that, well, it's too big of a piece. Ken Boyd had bought, I don't know if anybody saw it, it was that steel fish he bought. And it was on display last September, I think. And-
Here?
But it's too big, actually too big for the garden, now that I think about it. He wants to put it in Horizon Park. That's what he wants.
Oh,
Where was that?
well, we're getting more.
He had it over here at the, on Fourth Street, he had it right there, I can't remember for what event, it was in September. It was at the same time that we did the docent walk,
Oh,
inside out,
Uh-huh.
And, he bought it outright and he was looking for some way to have, get reimbursed by a raffle or something, but then have it installed in Horizon Park. So, but I think, you know, it's actually it's pretty cool, but it's kind of big. You know, it's kind of big, so.
Where does he have it now?
It's probably in his backyard.
Well,
You know,
John had that man,
Well, we're just down
for a long
there.
time at his house.
Yeah,
In his garage.
right.
That one at the
Upside down.
Horizon Park.
Yeah, upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Down-
the
down.
green and pink man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Well, thank you so much for letting me share what I do here. And
Thank
for
you
letting me-
so much for
Thank you.
doing this.
Thanks.
It adds a lot to it.
And thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Absolutely.
Like- Thank
Having
you. She was so great at the party for
At
the
the
friends, and I
friends
was like,
meeting.
so would you like to be? And she
I was gonna
like-
tell you, Maria got pretty well recruited,
Yeah.
Michelle made sure.
Yeah,
I
and I
think
got your contact information.
Excellent,
So,
yes,
we're
I
all
got yours.
I think it's a good fit, so
Great.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you for letting me go a little bit early.
And you, yeah, she listed, and you said that Debbie Jariga. For
Yes,
those of you who don't know, Debbie Jariga does, she's a basket,
right. she's
what do you
three
call
fences.
it? There-
It's weaving,
Weaver.
basket
weaver,
weaving.
basket
Yeah.
weaver,
Right.
and other art she does a lot. so.
Right. And she actually was one of the jurors for the art exhibit this
So
past
this
fall.
year,
So she's qualified.
For Baca.
Yeah, for Baca, right.
and the art is, it's flourishing in the time that I've been, which is almost 20 years, and just shy of 20 years, but there's been a lot of additional art in this community, and, Dan, the gorilla and the giraffe, those are part of the DDA
Right,
sculptures,
yeah.
but I think they try to find ones that are appropriate, but that one last year about scare, that was a little scary.
Weird, yeah. It wasn't,
And,
it
but
really wasn't the right piece for that.
maybe
space,
we
you
can
know?
work with them and,
Well, like I
but
said-
this one is kind of whimsical and
No, this
cute, the
is
one
good.
that's out there now.
And I don't, if Steve shows up tomorrow, or maybe I'll email him just to,
See if you can
if
have,
I can be invited.
see if you can have a word.
That we get like what we would like to have, or I can have a little input. So,
Maybe we could always get like the puppy for the balloon dog that we see every.
yeah, mind that balloon dog. I mean, that's, it's contemporary, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
that works.
The real one is like $6 million now.
yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I didn't look it up though, and I saw that it was like 40 grand. But
For
yeah.
the one
So
that
there's
you
a
want
bunch
to-
of-
yeah,
That is too cute though.
it is.
Somebody
cute.
spent 40 grand.
That was Scott
Scott
Jones.
Jones?
I think
Wow.
so.
40 grand.
Thanks for cash.
There's little ones you can buy like in Garden Fantasy and stuff.
Right.
Garden Fantasy. Yeah, I just said that Garden
Uh-huh.
Fantasy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that lets you go
Congratulations
before.
on all your extra work you get to do.
Well, I think our other reports will move fairly quickly. Bylaws, which I'll now call on Linda,
Well, considering I just
have
made
been,
chairman.
been
Don't
chairman
know
for
anything
10
about it.
minutes.
So no report at this time.
And I warn you that Mary Jo says we're gonna get to that,
That's
but
fine.
she's got her hands full, so we'll see. Finance, was there anything else? We have a few financial, items in the packet, and you might wanna talk to us about them.
So included in your packet is the general fund budgetary comparison schedule. That's for the first 6 months of our fiscal year, so a couple things I'm gonna point out in the revenues return. The first half of the first page. The top one is the current taxes, property taxes, and this is a revenue that we don't get until the second half of the year. So we put in the 1.3 million as kind of a placeholder really. But we do anticipate to receive the entire 2.6 million but it comes in the second half of this.
So that's what the asterisk is for.
Yes, because our actual is just over $10,000. Also, under library fines and fees, you'll see the infamous penal fines. And our budget is 36,000 and our actual is 39,198. And this is an instance where the revenue actually comes in full the first half of the year. So that's why it looks here like we're exceeding our budget, but actually this is the total that we will get for the entire year. So halfway down the page, you'll see like the grand total for our revenues. And right now we're anticipating that we'll come in slightly better than our budget.
Good.
Next are the expenditures. So looking at the total salaries, that's the $1.218 million budget. Our 6-month actual is the $538,000. As you all may recall, at the last meeting, we decided to give 3.5% increases. So if you add that to the 538, it's only 560,000. So we're still well under the 609 that we have budgeted for a 6-month period. The other expenditure I want to bring to your attention is under books and acquisitions. Our budget is 275,000, and our 6-month budget is just half that number, which is the 137, but our actual is at 101. So we're anticipating that there might be a surplus here, but more than likely the second half of the year we'll probably be spending more. So if we go to the second page, over near the bottom under utilities, you'll see that the budget is $86,000 for the year. And right now our actual is $23,602, which is $19,000 less than our 6-month budget. So, and I think this has been happening every year. You know, we think the utilities are going to be more, but they continue to be a lot less than what we're budgeting. So we'll continue to closely monitor that. And at the very bottom, you'll see an anticipated surplus under, this would be the computer hardware and software expenses. So that's where we had the $80,000 budget for the year, $40,000 for 6 months, and our actual is at $20,000. So we're anticipating that there could be a surplus there as well. Just looking at the total expenditures, our budget is $2.567 million. So our 6-month budget is the $1,283,000, and our actual for the first 6 months of the year is just over $1 million. So if this, you know, continues at the same pace, we anticipate that we'll probably have a $300,000 to $400,000 surplus by
Better
year.
than good.
Thank you. Thank you for that, for pointing out the items that we should pay attention to in here, and the message that our treasurer has given us is that we are moving along well, and there's nothing that we have to chew our fingernails off on. That we should end up a little better than budget, at least hopefully. Thank you. Marketing, which is no longer marketing, it's now going to be called outreach. And I would imagine, well, if you want to give a report, you can, Maria.
I have no report.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Kind of counting on that.
Right.
The personnel would be Linda.
No report. We did our heavy lifting last time.
You certainly did. We had a good work, and there is something mentioned in here about personnel in the director's report, which we may, I think. Yeah,
There is.
Oh, the salary range. down.
I
Yeah.
can talk about it later.
yeah,
Okay,
we can have that in the director.
yeah, I know. I've looked at that document you're talking about before.
The
She
salary,
just didn't have it. She got it later than.
right, and so she's gonna bring the personnel committee into that.
Yeah, that's good.
So there's some work for you to do before next December.
Okay.
And we did art. So we have gone through those. We have our accounts payable as always.
No report on policy.
Oh, I didn't call on Dan.
That's okay, no report.
I didn't call on Dan. I skipped him. There is no, I went and checked you off as if you had reported.
You just anticipated.
Yeah, well, this time of the year, we are just getting started. We're just getting ourselves organized. So it'll come along, and we had quite a few policy committee. From what Mary Jo has said to me, the fickle finger goes on over to bylaw.
All right.
And so our vice president will have something to sink her teeth into. Anyway, thank you very much, board. The committees and the shared leadership from this board is always appreciated. Now accounts payable. Which you have our usual list.
What is this, fantasy integration, the children can do?
I was gonna ask.
That is the lighting in the ceiling. It's actually hidden from view if you're standing underneath it, but you can see it if you're driving past. And it kind of lights up the ceiling. That they replaced more than 10 lighting fixtures in there because they were malfunctioning. So they had stopped being able to change colors.
So they were
So-
defective.
Well, it wasn't the whole fixture, I misspoke. You
Okay.
replaced the bulbs.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
It's like
what
maintenance, really, right?
it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So
they're
it's not
5
like
years
it's-
old and are
Okay,
constantly.
so then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those were some of our bells and whistles, our lighting,
So my
but
little grandson just gasped.
they love
when he
it.
saw it,
I must
so-
admit that it really has paid off. Anytime you bring kids in here and those kind of neon, those lights that go around the
Yeah,
little
really cool.
arch that come in, kids just love it and they sit there. My granddaughter sits with her back on those lights and gets her a book and just sits there and reads. So.
So what is the O'Neill? Is that this, that might be those steps? No, yeah, the bathroom doors haven't been done yet.
That was
They
in
are
fact, yes,
Yeah.
the treads,
Yeah.
but not treads, nose, something nose.
Oh, the
Yeah.
the stairs,
Yes.
for the
But they
stairs.
look like treads, but they're not.
Yeah.
Nosing.
Nosing.
Hmm.
And that's
My
been,
dog does.
that's been installed.
It
I have to-
has.
I have to look again.
Yes.
I actually think it looks, having that contrast looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. As an older person wearing bifocals,
Yeah,
it's very important.
I have to
It
say
is.
that
I
there's.
mean, you may not, you youngins don't know that, but
That was
as an old
also,
person, I don't have to take the elevator now.
that was also an improvement made based on patron request.
I could really see that as another older person who can't really negotiate the steps right now, but it is my goal. I am gonna get back on those stairs. Anything else? The biggest expenditures again are the library network and our healthcare. That's investing in our human resources. So
Motion that we approve the accounts payable. Vice President.
A second.
it has been moved by Stoudemire and supported by Chehevitz that we approve the accounts payable for this month. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And opposed by saying no. Well, good, everybody agrees that money is spent. Now, I referred to the director's report in her absence, but she is very ably represented by her deputy. So now I will call on Hillary for the official director.
All right, so we've actually talked on quite a bit that was in the director's
Mhm.
report. We do have a lot of staffing changes still going on right now. We're onboarding several people for CERC, and we have just lost a library assistant who's moved on to another position, and we'll be hiring to replace her. So stay tuned in the staff area next month for more information.
And the shelving people come on. They are,
A new shelver as well, yes, yes.
well, and she's mentioned them in here, the people
Yeah.
that have come on.
Yeah. We did finally get the Detroit Suburban Library Roundtable data, which is a really great resource for us when looking at salary ranges, because it gives you an idea of what all of the other libraries in our area are paying. So Mary Jo will be taking a look at that and making adjustments. It's been 2 years since we've adjusted that particular document here, except last month we had to bump up 2 places, I think director and librarian,
Yeah,
because some of our more senior librarians were bumping up against the ceiling there. So she'll be taking a look at that, and then we'll bring her recommendations to the personnel committee
I'm
later.
interested in seeing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's helpful every
Mhm.
year with how we even evaluate our,
Helpful to have a conversation with Mary Jo,
and
because you can have backup what you want to do, what other people are getting.
yes.
Well.
So as far as programming goes, the classic movie night series is starting up again this month. The theme for this entire run of movies is musicals. And they look pretty fun, I have to say. We're also offering some more history programs. The Western Wayne County Quilt Guild is doing their children's quilting program again. This is, I think, the 2nd or 3rd year that they've done it, and they always get a full house of kids.
there's a nice flyer about that.
Yes, and they usually leave with a project completed, which is always
That's
pretty
cool.
cool.
For the Harvest Festival, that area of the library was packed.
And there's,
Yeah.
and there's men that help with it too.
Oh, yeah.
It's really nice,
Right.
Absolutely.
not just women.
And
Oh, yeah.
the kids loved it.
And I guess big news here really is that our seed library is having a kickoff on March 1st. The same group of staff members have been working on it again, well, basically the whole year. So they're having this big kickoff where they will have people available to answer questions. You can get your seeds, you can check out tools. The tool collection is growing. And then there will be other programs on gardening later on in the spring.
I hope there's not a snowstorm that day.
Be fine.
Yes.
Thank you, Hillary. Are there other questions? You all have had the director's report. You have, and as Hillary mentioned, we've used it, utilized it as we've discussed other things. Any questions for Hillary? Be well. I'll send for speedy recovery for
Yes.
our director, but she deserves a few days rest. And hopefully, it's been, the illnesses that have been going around are hard to
Yeah.
predict. But her throat, and she had
Just sounded bad.
a lot going on. So now it's time, I didn't check off 8, 9, but we are to item 10, trustee comments. So we'll do our round around the table. Anybody want to go first?
I will. I just want to say, if you haven't been to the movie night, it's really fun. And he got the idea for musicals from the people who have been going to the movies. We asked him to have those. So I'm really excited about going because it's Fred Astaire.
And it's this coming
And he's really good. He
Thursday.
knows everything. And the conversation, there's people in the audience that have watched, I think, every movie ever made. And so it's really a lively bunch of people. Not just people who sit and watch, but people who are really involved.
So that
I
comes,
recommend it.
that comes Thursday, February 13th, right the day before Valentine's Day. So somebody want to get a cheap date for Valentine's?
Or just this Thursday.
To the movies.
This Thursday.
Right.
Because my
no.
husband said to me tonight, where do you want to go on Valentine's Day? And I said, if you haven't made a reservation by now, we're not going anywhere.
Well, you will have had your fun at the movies
there
the
you go.
night before. Who's next?
So I just wanna say that we'll be Mary Jo and Alma to know them real soon. So I'm looking forward to see next meetings.
Good, well, that, I think you are speaking for all of us on that one. Maria, I'll call in, that's be your, no, you talked last week.
Yeah,
Last
I
month.
did, I did. I enjoyed attending the first annual Friends meeting. Sharon and I attended and I met so many people who just love this library. Wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to attend, but I told Sharon, save me a seat, I'm coming.
I'm really glad you did because many of our board members have come. from
Yeah.
The Friends, Linda is one, she
I
was.
had
a
only
former
women
chair.
voters.
Yeah,
That
our,
day I couldn't come.
the chair of the Friends had that same, and Lisa Martin attended both,
Oh, yeah,
but,
that's right.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so it
I
was
was sick,
really
yeah.
a joy to be there,
Mhm.
yeah.
it was a good one. It
I went
was,
to the meeting before that just because I couldn't go to them.
well, it was kind of fun. Donna had a really good idea of how to, she tied things that most Bellevillians wouldn't have put together, but she tied the library as a piece of public infrastructure to the bridge that is
Oh, yeah, that's
being
right.
built, and talked about how both bring people together. And Reggie Miller, our state rep, spoke very well on that. She tied those two together very, very well. And then Donna had a lot of fun stuff out, little construction type stuff. I was expecting her to put her, somebody
Was
did
it,
a
was
little
it
bit.
the leg, what was that, the display in the back? Was it of Legos? There was a bridge that they,
Yeah, they made, and then she
So
also had little inflatable cranes
Oh,
and.
yeah, it was cute. It was
They
very
really
fun.
did a good job this year. It was a fun meeting. So that leaves us with a couple of us who haven't run our mouths yet. Dan?
I really don't have too much to say other than it's nice to get together in a nice warm room on a really cold night, February night like.
Says you who
So,
just came back from a cruise. I don't feel sorry.
I'm just looking for someplace warm. I guess.
Then
I was, yeah, I was out of town at the Friends of the Library, so I could not make that one.
You're
I know I'm
on
not
a
gonna get,
cruise.
yeah, I'm not gonna get much.
Sick.
Okay.
You're on the
Right, we'll
cruise.
give you the sympathy then.
Well, but since we're talking about the French, Joy was well represented because Rick
Oh, yeah.
gave
That's
the
right.
whole discussion
That's right.
for Sumter. He was recruited, he came in the room. Somebody had to speak up for Sumter, and I think they said they had tried to get a, public official, but Rick did
Sure.
a wonderful job.
Is he the only one there from something?
I think so.
Oh.
And there were people
That's
from
sad.
Belleville who were there, but the Belleville report was given by a non-Bellevillian, but it was a very interesting report anyway. And so it was a very communal meeting because people were speaking for other communities. Actually, Ken Voigt had written up, he couldn't attend at an injury,
Yeah.
but he certainly gave a really great report, and it was read by a member of the community who was quite lively and livened up the report, so.
Oh, I'm glad.
Her name was. I have it. It'll come to me probably when I.
Tell me
go to bed
later.
tonight. In the middle of the night, I'll text you. But she was fun. And then has everybody talked? And Nikki and Hillary already talked, so now it's my chance to talk.
I didn't talk.
Oh. I love your glasses. You're a work of art.
Thank you. I am retiring and Saturday, a week from Saturday is my last day. I hope I can do a few more things than I have been doing, surviving lately. And then I won't be here at the March meeting.
You
because
won't
We'll be on a road trip.
A
month-long road trip.
retirement, celebration,
Mhm.
much
Nice.
deserved. Joy, over the years, Joy has done heavy lifting for this library, both as a board member and as another librarian and just as a all-around good person.
Font of knowledge.
Yeah, well, we're lucky to keep you here while, and on the board, and maybe you can do some more fun stuff.
Yeah.
What was it that somebody was just asking? Oh, yeah, trying to get you to do art for the library.
Yeah. I hope you get
Yeah.
it again.
What kind of work do you do?
I used to
Same place?
do lamp work
Oh, lamp.
glass, yeah,
Okay.
and then I did I did a bunch of stuff,
She
a
did.
lot of jewelry and. But I haven't done any of it, I just couldn't do that and work
Oh, no.
as many hours. My creativity went out the window, so I'm hoping to get it back.
I'm sure you will. And that's one thing about this library that helps you. We always pushed it, or are we ready to? I thought we were early.
Yeah, you're good.
Well, we'll get a little quicker because I'm gonna make my report very quick. I really appreciate this group, and the flexibility. People are able to stand in for others and help others, and we did have some heavy duty discussions tonight. So, but on that, we have to call again. I start looking at you, Dan.
Madam Chair.
Dan.
You're the appointed
I'm
one.
going to funnel John, Madam Chair, I propose we end this meeting.
Adjourn. There's a motion for adjournment,
I'll second that
And-
motion.
and it's seconded and supported. Our meeting.
You
is
channeled
adjourned.
John.
I channeled